I'm Allison. Thank you for joining me for Where I'm From 189 with Rebecca. What have you been reading? I read Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. I've read some of her other books. I find her enjoyable. And just one here on the back it says, Sittenfeld makes writing lively and diverting fiction look easy. And she does. Happy Friday to all. Waiting for Rebecca. Looks like Rebecca has some friends here. Hi, friends. It's nice to have supportive friends. Have you read anything good lately? At the beginning, I was talking about what I am reading, and I just read Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. If you've read something you like, here's Rebecca. Okay, I invited you to. Hi, Dan. I invited you to join me. I'll invite you again. Hopefully that'll work. Not, we'll keep trying. Instagram Live can be fussy. Go Becky, Amy says. To Becky. To me, she's Rebecca. But I like it hearing that she is Becky to you. Okay, I've invited you a few times. Rebecca, you can also try requesting to join me. There's a little camera at the bottom. You put the plus sign, you push that, and it says you're unable to join. So are you on your phone or an iPad? If you're on a computer, it won't work. We can also try, I will invite you again. And if that doesn't work, I will start over. Oh, here we go. Worked.
Hi.
Hi.
It finally worked. Yeah.
You just have to keep trying. It's sort of an exercise in frustration, but I've done this a lot of times, so I'm used to it.
Well, and I've watched a lot of these, and so I do see that there's always like a little
Yeah.
kink almost in almost everyone's.
Yes, it used to make me very nervous, but now I'm just like, oh,
Right. Right.
it's what it is. So it's good. It only takes 189 times to
Right.
get over being nervous. So how are you today? You have a bunch of friends
I
here. What lovely
do.
supportive
I do.
friends.
Yay. Yes. They all can't believe you actually like my poem. So no.
Yes, everyone can write poetry. Your friends can too.
Yes.
If they want the prompt, you
Yes.
too can write poetry. So are you an Estelle Erasmus person? I'm just trying to remember how we got connected. Is that how we got?
Exactly right.
Okay.
Yes. And I was just listening to her podcast where you were a guest,
That was a
and
great conversation.
it was, and it's because I'm an emerging writer. I'm
Yes,
new,
good for you.
and thank
Hmm.
you. And it's very comforting to hear someone well established like you and your struggles. And I watched
I do not
your
consider myself well established, so that's nice to hear. Thanks.
yes, yes. Um, well, and I listened to your reading of your Where I'm From
Hmm.
for 2025 because you do one every year,
I do.
and you even got nervous reading that one, and
Yeah.
it gave me some solace this morning here,
Oh,
like getting
good.
ready. Like it's okay to have a little jitters.
It is. And I think it's important. That's part of the reason I do it every year. So it's like, oh, and then I remember, what it feels like. Because it's different when you're just listening than when
Yes,
you're sharing something. Yeah, it's vulnerable.
yes. And this poem, Where I'm From,
Mhm.
is very personal.
Yes,
You're writing.
it should be. If it's not, I'm probably not doing it right. So I'm glad
Yes,
it's
yes,
personal.
yes,
And are you
yes.
in
You'll get
Texas?
it.
You sound like you're in Texas.
I am. I am in Texas, and the Where I'm From that I'll be reading is an ode to where I'm originally from. It's basically a love letter to Iowa. So it's I and listening to your live about the process of how you wanted to do something different this year versus the other years, and
Hmm.
thinking about why I went the direction I went with mine
Hmm.
originally. And then it made me wonder what it would look like if I wrote another one.
Yes. And I invite you to do so because it is interesting it's different. It's different
Yeah,
every time, and you can set like different challenges for yourself. Like I really
yes,
did try to be more positive, which
yes.
was a particular challenge in January of 2025. I live in Los Angeles. It was a really hard month, but I did it sort of. I sort
You
of
did.
did it.
You
We
did.
can talk about it more
Hmm.
after you read your poem if you'd like. I'd love to hear your process, but I bet they would. I bet all these people who are here would love to hear your poem.
Yes, I'll get it going then.
Okay.
So I am from a darkly varnished violin with strings dusty from rosin, from Suzuki sheet music and Oscar Mayer bologna on white rainbow bread. I'm from red painted covered bridges over babbling brooks and crawling creeks with hands sticky sweet from fresh honey stolen from the neighbor's bees. I'm from the prairie rose and tulips, devouring a sweet and flaky Dutch letters pastry in the picturesque city of windows at their festival of flowers. I'm from military veterans standing at attention in silent pain, from Swedish Aunt Lillian and Irish Grandma Iris. I'm from hot headed tempers that never back down and embarrassing belly laughs that sneak up uninvited, especially at funerals. I'm from doing the right thing and telling the truth. I'm from stained glass windows surrounding the wooden painted man on the wall with nails in his palms and thorns for a crown while listening to fathers and sisters depict how he traded his life for my sins. I'm from liberties that are prized, rights that remain, and where the Hawkeyes wrestle to win every match. Parsley garnished Swedish meatballs and Irish whiskey neat. From the unconditional love of Barb, who woke every morning at 5 o'clock to brew the black coffee, fry the eggs from the chickens in the yard, and the bacon from the pig we raised, while smelling of cigarettes and Gloria Vanderbilt Eau de Toilette. The quiet gardener that shared his birthday and weeping willow. Pictures displayed on wooden shelves purchased by independents and dainty diamonds around my neck and fingers belonging to women. This, this one always parts gets me, belonging to women gone yet surrounding me every day.
Yeah.
That one's hard to say out loud.
Yeah. It's funny what chokes us up. I
Mm-hmm.
find sometimes I think I've done it, and then you're in the middle of it. That was
Oh,
beautiful. You
oh,
painted
thank
such a
you.
picture of Iowa, and of course I thought of bridges in Madison County, which
That's
really
exactly that's
dates
exactly
me.
where I'm from.
Okay,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
I was like, oh, covered bridges, and
Mm-hmm.
I so
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm from Madison
Oh,
County,
are
so
you
it
really?
was
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
Mhm. And it's beautiful there. So that's when I started writing. That's kind of where, not originally where I went, but then I love my violin so much. And I started playing, I was 3. And I was in Iowa at that time. So that's kind of where that all,
Yeah.
how the writing process is.
Yes.
You don't really know where you're going to end up.
Yes. Yeah, I think you're the second person who's written about Suzuki guitars and guitar, violin. Someone else has definitely at least one person because it is such a formative experience. Like when you play in that way, because I mean, how long did you play for and how much did you play?
I still kind of tinker with
Do
it.
you? Oh,
But I
that's
started,
amazing.
yeah, I started playing when I was 3, and then I stopped really officially right before I got into high school because
Okay.
I didn't know that that would be the cool thing to do still. But I was really good at it when I played, and
Yeah,
so I struggle with it now because I don't sound
it's hard, I think.
nearly as good.
Yeah,
But
yeah. You know what you're capable of, but
mhm,
I mean, you have
mhm,
to be practicing all those hours a day in order to do that.
mhm.
So, yeah, I was like, oh, Suzuki guitar again, Suzuki
Yes,
violin, and Bridges in Madison County, and yeah, Swedish and Irish heritage, which was, I
yes,
mean, yeah, in the Midwest. There's,
very
yeah,
Midwest. Yes,
yeah. So, what was your process? We were sort of talking about it a little
yes.
beforehand, but what was your experience?
Well, just like you could go either way
Mm-hmm.
on the tone or the mood
Mm-hmm.
of this, because as beautiful as Iowa is, and this poem isn't all light. When I speak of my veteran
Yeah,
family,
yeah.
it's
And they didn't have therapy back then.
no, No.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that I'm really enjoying about the writing process is it is a form of therapy.
Yeah, it
I
is definitely.
I have found that when I write about something that I find very difficult to speak about,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe never spoke about, there's a healing that comes with it that I didn't really know existed. But everyone talks about, a lot of people talk about, write it
Mm-hmm.
down, and
Mm-hmm.
there's something real with that.
Mm-hmm. I think I just shared a quote that I'm gonna butcher, but Virginia Woolf just talking about writing, making the unknown known. And I thought that like that is there's a lot of that in writing, and I think you can feel the truth of it like literally in your body
Yes.
when you're writing something that's true. It hits. I don't know. It's really powerful.
Yes, yes, and that's part of the writing process. When I know I'm
Mm.
on the right path,
Yep.
you can just feel
Yep.
it.
You can. And you
And
just know that, yeah, it's very validating. I have found it validating because there were so many different narratives that I was being fed. I had to work on what mine is.
right, yes, and staying true to your voice, I think, is interesting too, because you can tend to overthink things as you're
Mm-hmm.
writing and just not thinking about it. I find meditation before I write has become very, very helpful, opening up that subconscious and just listening to your gut and letting it
Mm-hmm.
go.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And some of
going
my,
back, oh,
go ahead.
sorry. That was
No.
good. And then going back and reading and being like, that was almost good. Let's work on
Well,
that.
I mean, first draft's the first draft. You can't give yourself, you just have to be, or I would suggest that you just feel proud of yourself that you wrote it and not concern yourself with the quality of it.
Hmm.
That was like the advice I got way back in college, F quality. And especially when you're just starting, and that's always good advice because I think oftentimes we get in our own way because we think
Definitely.
like, oh, this isn't good. This isn't, speaking of, actually, it's a lot like violin. In your head, it's so good. And then you write it down and it's like, oh, this isn't what I wanted to say. Um, but you have to just keep going. And your
Yeah,
skills get better and your writing gets better and it does get closer to that thing in your head.
right. And I think another thing where I'm trying to also not get in my head is um, the rejection's okay. You'll
Yeah.
find a place where your
Mm-hmm.
story belongs, and not taking it where the piece isn't good. It's just maybe that wasn't the right
It's
place to.
hard. I think it's hard. I mean, it does, it hurts. And I did a challenge during the pandemic to get 100 rejections in a year because I sort of wanted to reframe that whole idea of rejection. Rejection should feel like I at least tried. I submitted
Yes.
it. Like I wrote this thing and I submitted it. And it did really help me because the goal became to get rejections instead of avoiding rejections. And, um, it was a good reframing because that means I at least sent it 100 places. And you do start to see it. There is some of it that's a numbers game. Like you do
Right.
just have to keep putting yourself out there.
Yes, that's why I greatly appreciate you letting me read my poem
Oh,
today.
well, this is no gatekeeping. This is show up, read
Right.
your poem. I'm the opposite because I needed to create a space for myself where everyone was welcome. Because to me, that's so important. So I'm the other side. I'm like, come
Yes.
on in, read your poem because I think so many of us do just need someone to listen.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about poetry.
Mm-hmm.
I've always written poetry, even
Mm-hmm.
as a kiddo. Like
Yeah.
I brought some of my first books I ever read
Oh, yeah.
to
Those are
group.
classics.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I still have them on my bookshelves.
Yeah.
Um, I've always liked it. I When I was younger, like junior high, high school, I really saw poetry as an encrypted diary. You could write whatever you
Mm-hmm.
wanted, and it could
Yeah.
mean whatever the reader would interpret, but it didn't,
Mm-hmm.
you could write about something really painful or something really beautiful and it still remained yours.
That's a smart. That's a good attitude. I just wrote whatever I felt comfortable with everyone reading. So it was very boring and not interesting at all. And I gave it up immediately. I didn't need to write that many times who I liked and who I thought was cute. Like
Yeah.
this is not posterity doesn't need this. So that is really that's a that's a beautiful way to look. And I don't know this person's name, but
Oh,
Myra.
Miranda.
Okay. Like
There's a lot of
Miranda with
Y's
a
in there.
Y.
Yes.
It's like my brain was not, I couldn't do it. I agree, Miranda. I love that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then someone has to actually put effort into trying to figure out what you're saying. And most of the time, people are just looking for dirt if they're reading your diary. So if they,
Yes. Yes. Right. The diary would be way more boring, I think, than the poetry.
yeah. Um, yeah, sorry about your name, Miranda. Now I got it. So, anything else?
Well, I just really appreciate you having me today, and you gave me some motivation to keep on writing and to
Good.
keep on submitting. And I'm just
Yeah.
like I finished my Where We Met through my NYU course, and I've signed up for some other courses, and I'm just now submitting and getting those rejections, and then the ones that aren't rejected, and just enjoying the wins
Hmm.
and just
Hmm.
rolling with this experience. It's it's exciting.
Yeah, and I think also, it's so important to have community, to know other writers and to be able to talk to them because that has really been the hugest win for me. It's just meeting people that I can talk to about these things and that I mean, like Estelle, she's great.
She
She's
is.
such a positive person, generous person. She truly cares about her students and their
She
success,
really
and
does.
it's wonderful. So it's, I think, writing is a solitary activity, and so it's really important to have people that you can be in community with. And that's part of the reason I started this too, because I was meeting people, on social media, but I wanted to meet them more. This isn't real life, but it's close. And I think we all have something to say. And
Yes.
I wanted to do my little part in
Yeah.
supporting
And you
them.
and you started this during the
I
pandemic, which
did.
I think
Yeah.
was probably a brilliant way to connect.
It helped me a lot. It did. And I was meeting people on social media and it was like, I don't know, you look at their posts, but like actually when they look at your posts and you say some things, but I actually wanted to know them better. And
Hmm.
this felt like just kind of like a magical opportunity. Like I just was introduced to the prompt. I feel like so many people were introduced to it long before I was. And but I just felt like, wow, this is a really unique way to get to know people. And ultimately that's one of the most interesting things to me in life is getting to know people. So
And that's another example of the creative process, where writing this prompt took you to this route to where you're
yeah.
like, let me ask other people
Yeah.
to do this. And then during the pandemic, connecting with it. So it's brilliant, really.
Yes, hopefully that was a one-time deal. The pandemic. I was just talking about it with some people the other day. It's like because I have children and just watching them recover from it and grow into people. And
Right.
it was hard. It's a really disruptive thing that they went through for all of us. I think we're all still recovering.
Well,
Um,
yes. And then now you have the fires
I
and
know.
that recovery.
Yeah.
How's it going out there where you are?
I'm okay, but it's slow going. It was a lot of destruction.
And it and
Yeah.
it's something that's you're gonna have to that area will be recovering from for years. I mean,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
I only saw it from the news. Yeah, I
It's
can't
just
imagine.
staggering,
Hmm.
really. I mean, the Palisades, I could see it. And I wasn't like close, but I could see it, on the mountains. And it was just, I don't know. It's just like any trauma. You kind of live through it, and then later you think, wow, wait, that happened. That was real. I think
Hmm.
we're sort of starting to unpack the pandemic that we lived through that.
Yeah, that could be a really cool where I'm from dedicated just to that
Yeah,
experience.
I did one during it, but
Okay.
it's so different when you're in it. And then I don't think I shared it here. I did it for some poetry thing. But yeah, it's different when you're living through it, right? Like lots
Hmm.
of times, and that's another life chapter for sure. That's also the only thing that I don't have journals from when I was a kid, but I feel like I wouldn't have talked about anything because I was living through it, and you're
Hmm.
just kind of surviving. It's only later that I could look back and think, oh, this was really significant. This
Yeah.
affected me.
Yeah, that was a writing prompt that Estelle had us do in class was write about a memory from your perspective at
Mm-hmm.
that age,
Yeah.
which I did a little bit in this poem too.
Mm-hmm.
when I talked about the Catholic church that I went to as a litlittle girl, like just trying to figure all that out.
It's
You
pretty
know,
intense. That
it's a,
iconography, it's a lot.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
For a
So
little
I,
person, you're like, wow, that's a lot of blood. And some of them are really graphic. Some of them less so. Depends on the church, but
yes. So that was, writing a memory um, from the perspective of a child. I've noticed you can write about traumatic things without it being
yeah,
traumatic for the reader as well.
yeah, which is important. You want to take care of your readers, you don't
Yes.
want to hurt, you don't want to damage them. Yeah. It's a good lesson to learn. No one's asking you to open your veins, That's not what anybody wants. Like nobody wants to be covered in that. We all need to kind of take care of ourselves and each other. So
Yes.
it's good to keep that in mind because I think sometimes we feel like, oh, we gotta really get in, and you do personally need to get in there, but the narrative doesn't need to.
Right. And that's where I agree with the let the first draft be what it is.
For sure, absolutely. Yeah, you can't get too judgmental because then you won't do anything. I,
Right.
you know, like you just kind of have to celebrate the win of that you did it. I think personally, I mean, it's what I say to my kids, and it's what I say to myself. Like, I'm just happy you're creating something. It's wonderful to be a creator.
Yes.
You know, in life, I think it gives you so much, just the act of creation. So, um,
Yes, I avoided it for years. I'm naturally a creative person, but I made myself get a degree in accounting. I made
sure.
myself go into banking. And then this phase of my life, the beautiful thing about, when you're in your late 40s, early 50s is you're kind of like, I'm done with doing what I should do. Now I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to do what I want to
That's what they keep feeding me on Instagram
do.
about perimenopause and menopause. That women, their hormones, they're not caregivers anymore
Right.
because they start to think about what do they want. And that's part of the reason, there's so much narrative about us not being attractive anymore because we don't
Oh,
care as much anymore about
I
being attractive,
know.
which suddenly makes us unattractive to all the right people,
Right. I was,
in my opinion. It's like,
right.
great,
Yes.
great.
Yes. I was listening to I don't know if you're familiar with Abigail Thomas. She's a
Yeah.
she, okay. I was listening to one of she was she was
It's so
on Estelle's.
close. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And she started writing at 48, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
48, and that gave me inspiration because sometimes I think one of the biggest obstacles I have in writing
Mm-hmm.
is the self doubt. Who
Sure.
am I? Like, this story isn't, anything different than that other story. But
I know. That's what we all tell ourselves
yes,
to some
yeah. And then
extent.
listening to her, start writing at
Mm-hmm.
48, and she's in her 80s now, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to keep writing
The
when I'm
books
in
are
my 80s.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, she has just a way with
Yeah.
words that is um, makes me act like I was reading her one about writing memoir, and I just would put it down sometimes, be like, oh wow, like that was deep,
Yeah.
and it was just so simply written too.
Yes. Yes. It's deceptively simple. Her writing.
Yes,
It makes you feel like,
yes,
yeah. I'm a fan of brevity, and she is the queen of that. She does not waste words or time. Like, and I
right.
appreciate that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because her one on memoir is really I've read a lot of books written about writing memoir,
Yeah. There are
and
a lot of them. I mean,
hers is
some of them.
really short, but
Mm-hmm.
it's one I keep going back to though. It's
Mm-hmm.
so good.
Well, I mean, I think it's so important to feel inspired by people, and she is inspiring, and she's very my impression is she's very down to earth and just kind of a person.
Yes.
Like
Oh yeah, and that's
she
what made me
doesn't
think of her.
she doesn't hold herself in great regard.
Yes,
She's just like, this
yes.
is me.
And you said something about it, how you look, and that's what made me in that podcast. She talked about how she doesn't care about how she looks anymore. She just gets up in the morning and goes and doesn't have to think about it. She's like, that's
Right.
the best thing about being 80.
Right. You're just here. Awesome. I agree. I mean, it's all, well, anyway, we should be happy to be here and,
Mhm.
and be functioning. I've been in a lot of pain last year, and I'm just like happy to
Oh,
be um, able to do things. So
mm.
it changes your perspective. But yeah, we're beautiful just the way we are.
Right?
I think so.
It's a hard thing as a woman to wrap our minds around.
It is. It is. I mean, and I'm vain. Everybody's got their level of vanity, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like you can't let it. Gratitude is the best attitude, Miranda.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I definitely do a lot of it. It keeps me going because it's very possible to feel the other way. There's a lot to be not feeling good about. So it is, there are so many blessings. And on that note, it's time to wrap up. So
Yes.
I want to thank all your friends for being here. What a
Yay. Thank
supportive
you.
bunch. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, this is wonderful that you have people who love you and believe in you like this.
I
It
do
means
feel
a lot.
blessed.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it'll help. So it was lovely meeting you, Rebecca.
It was
Or
great to meet
Becky,
you too.
as
Yes.
someone said
Well,
in the chat.
yes, 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 yes. Yeah.
um,
Well, I'll be following you and keeping up with your amazing career, and
Thank you. Appreciate
maybe
that.
maybe we can do this again a few years down the road.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.